Howdy, peoples.
This is Yogamonyo.
He isn't fired.
I'm not fired yet. Actually, I've been much better than I was in the past, so if I got fired now, then that'd be really weird.
That's it.
But this is
Considering
Yogaidr.
how he was the one that actually started off the channel, I was doing pretty much all the work for about the first year.
Yeah, and then I stepped up my game until recently, and then we had a break, and now I'm gonna step up my game again. But we have an update video on that. If you want to watch it, just go back one video.
It's not that hard.
So, welcome everybody to Obligitory E3 Crap for filler content until we get an actual Let's Play video up.
I am so taking that name. Word for word.
Obligatory E3 Crap. So, I think we should just do the obligatory and generic. We'll go from conference to conference, which would be Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, and then Nintendo. And we only really gave our vague opinions, vaguely of vagueness on Microsoft.
Very much vagueness.
On Microsoft and EA. But we didn't really talk about it in depth. I really hope this video doesn't go too long. It's probably going to be like...
It shouldn't. Hopefully the update video is longer.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, well, now this is E3. This is totally different. Because now we have opinions to voice out compared
Okay, we're already at 1:30, so let's go.
Okay, so, Microsoft, I want to hear your opinions. Wait, before your opinions, I want to mention I was asleep through the first half because I slept late. I didn't care for Microsoft, but I did watch over a recording of it. The highlights, whatever. So, he was, as far as I'm aware, sitting through the whole thing. So, you go with your
I
opinions.
sat through most of it, but I got up and left midway through, but that wasn't because of the conference. That was because I had other things going on.
There might be a little static if there is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was. I thought you were laughing.
No, that I was meeting and unmuting them.
Ah, okay. See, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know what to think. I mean, on one hand, props for not spending the entire time talking about how your Xbox is a television.
Another company did that one.
Yeah. Good job, Sony.
You
We'll
did
get to that
what?
train wreck when we get to that.
Yeah. I need to be right back, actually. So we're pause recording.
I paused it. One. Okay.
Alright, sorry for that little intermission. I had to go get some. It's gonna be a quick cut. But anyways, okay. So you left your opinion on Microsoft. Give me a recap. I kind of forgot already.
Oh, I didn't actually say it yet. That's why you don't remember.
My bad. Now go ahead.
I did go over the whole thing. I was kind of mixed back. Because, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, they didn't try to explain that it was a TV, but then it's trying to look back. I can barely remember any of the games they mentioned. I mean, there was that Halo collection.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty. That was their first game. Which, okay, I'm glad they made it first because we all knew it was coming. So.
They did a little of, I believe, Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, they had Assassin's Creed. Sunset Overdrive.
We don't have a list, but it really doesn't matter. This is actually more, I think this is better to know that what we actually truly remember, because this will show what left the biggest impact for us.
To be fair, biggest reason I remember Sunset Overdrive is because I'm following Insomniac on Twitter and they will not shut up about it.
So,
yeah.
Is that all you can really say on Microsoft? They're sort of hit and miss?
There was that one making yourself Project Spark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, fuck you, Rare. That was really fucked up of you.
That wasn't Rare. That was Microsoft. They just used the characters.
That was fucked up. That was really... You could have approached it differently. You could have just said it with a DLC. You didn't need to make Conker come out there and be like, fuck you, make your own game. That was just... I'm not exaggerating. That was just me. It was approached in the worst way you could ever give your fans. Like that's like if Crash Bandicoot went on in Sony and just was there for like a game they were showing that you can make other games with, and they're like, yeah, just make it. Make your own game. That's fucked up. I mean, granted, if Rare would probably make that not really a nuts and bolts 2 sort of thing, but they probably would make a good console. There's a lot of the good stuff. But anyways, that was brutal. and I hated the fact that they didn't. But it did look interesting, and I had seen a little gameplay and stuff on it, and it did look kind of fun.
There were a few others. Witcher 3 looks alright, I guess. I'm not a big fan of the series, but...
Yeah, Witcher 3, like... Okay, this is gonna be a run-on problem, except for one conference that we're not gonna mention, don't mention it yet. One thing I did not like about this E3 was, even though this was a really good E3, don't get me wrong, this was a really, really good E3. It wasn't the best, but it was good. Would you agree on that at least? It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good, for the most part.
Yeah. One thing I hated, though, was the CGI trailers for almost every single game. Except for one conference that did not do that. We're not going to say it, you just don't say it yet.
I actually don't know which one it is.
I know which one it is, but that thing pissed me off so much. There was so much CG trailer, and it's like, what are we going to know from this? Sony, there was a game in specific that I'm going to bring up when we get to Sony.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I won't say it.
It's like, trailers won't mean jack if we're not seeing what the game will play out to be like. And, yeah, and now for my opinion on generally Microsoft. Games. That's what E3 is about, and I'm happy they did that. But everything went by really fast.
It's necessarily a bad thing, but it seems like some of the games went by way too slowly, and others just slipped by way too fast.
You know what I think of when I think of E3? Remember back a few years ago in the old press conferences, where they would show a specific game for 10 minutes each, and then they'd show some gameplay of it? This year, it was just like CGI trailers galore.
To be fair, they do have... Don't they have to pay by the minute or something? So I can imagine they probably just want to get out of that.
Probably, maybe.
Isn't that why Nintendo wasn't doing a conference?
Most likely, but it was... You kind of summed up Microsoft games. There wasn't many notable games. They had games. They didn't talk about hardware. They didn't mention the Kinect at all, which isn't necessarily a good...
Well, that's not entirely true. They did have that Fantasia game that uses Kinect,
yeah.
But other than that...
So it's like
Ubisoft talked about Kinect more than Microsoft did.
Yeah, and they only said like a few things. And it's like, that just... Kinect, I don't like it, but they're sort of shrugging it off.
I've said it before, I'll say again, it's not a bad piece of technology, it's just being used completely wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong with games.
And now they're just like shrugging it off because everybody's like, we fucking made it.
It's perfectly fine, just don't use it for games. It doesn't belong there.
Yeah. And one thing I'm sort of disappointed with Microsoft that they didn't do. I think Microsoft had a good conference, by the way. I'm just saying this kind of disappointed me about that. They had actually a surprisingly good conference. I thought they were just going to be stupid this year. But no, anyways, they didn't mention anything about hardware. I mean, you don't have to spend so much time on hardware.
They at least mentioned a price drop. That was nice, I guess. They're actually cheaper in PS4 now. That's really surprising. But
they're $399. Yeah. So
it should be cheaper in PS4. It's not as powerful, but still.
So yeah, I was a little disappointed they didn't talk about anything really in terms of what's it called, like hardware to begin with. They didn't mention anything, like nothing new, nothing spectacular. Sony did that, but when we get to that, we're gonna get very upset about that most likely.
Oh boy.
I will, I know.
Save it for then. Okay, so anyways, yeah, Microsoft, it was a good conference, especially for Microsoft standards, but I don't know.
Okay, so next, since we said Microsoft, we were both kind of mixed. It was okay, it was pretty good. It beat both of our expectations.
As for E3, I had incredibly low expectations, and they still managed to make me think it was terrible.
You mean EA? You said E3.
Yes, EA. That's what I mean.
Yeah, EA.
And, oh boy.
Started off showing Battlefield 3, or Battlefront 3. I was like, cool. What was it? Mostly teasers.
Yeah, we started Star Wars. Oh boy.
And then Mirror's Edge, what was it? Mostly a teaser. Then they spent time on Sims 4, which looked like Sims 3. Nothing different. It looked fairly different.
Time they were just talking about, we've just made the characters slightly smarter.
Yeah, and I was like...
They still look like complete idiots, by the way.
Yeah, and I was like, they die of laughter.
Literally, die of laughter.
Yeah, literally die of laughter.
But if you didn't watch the conference, go look it up. The guy actually dies because he's laughing.
Yeah, like laughing hysterically for some reason.
I don't even remember why he was laughing.
Neither do I. Yeah, Yeah,
Does it really
after
matter?
that it was sports. They showed a little Mirror's Edge.
It was mostly just sports. That took up probably 3/4 of their conference.
I mean, granted, it's EA, you expected that, but they explained everything in the stupidest ways. They focused on things that didn't need to be focused on in the sports game. So they were boring. They were boring. Simply put, they were boring.
But we know what's going to happen, and it's football. It's hockey. We know how it plays.
And then they ended out on Battle.
And that lasted way too long.
It looked interesting. It didn't look like I want, because they're kind of pushing way too many Battlefield games now. And Cops and Robbers, you have Payday for that. There's Payday 3 coming, by the way.
That's awesome.
And it's
I haven't seen it, but
yeah, it's like there's Payday coming, and it's like, if we want Cops and Robbers, we got Payday. We don't need Battlefield. And the gameplay looked pretty cool, but like he said, it dragged on. And
you know what's even worse? When the conference actually ended, in the transition between EA and Ubisoft, guess what game was playing the entire time?
Far Cry.
The entire time.
I can't remember. Was it?
I think they were showing new footage for that new Banjo-Kazooie game.
Wait, what?
Kidding.
He almost made me shit my pants. Like, oh, what? Oh, and they ended off in explosions. That was random, but it was cool.
But they hired Michael Bay just for that.
It wasn't explosions. It was just smoke for anyone who didn't see it. It was random. Like, I actually kind of liked it because it was so good. But yeah, I mean, overall, EA kind of bored me. I expected maybe if they explained the sports maybe a little better, it would have been.
At least showed a little less of it. There was way too much.
Oh, by the way,
they just skimmed over the stuff they actually cared about, like Mirror's Edge or.
They said something about
What about Mass Effect? They mentioned that for like 20 seconds and then moved on.
Yeah, exactly. That pissed me off too. Which is another running trend that they did in these conferences. They just gave us a little taste of something and then they never went into it more.
And then they went on to another game that stayed for way too long. Microsoft did that too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it didn't do anything for us. It wasn't bad. It was just boring, really.
Oh boy.
You expect sports from them, so you can't just say immediately it's shit because of that. Because that's what you have to expect.
You expect that, but at the same time, way too much, guys.
Yeah, it was okay, I guess. Right?
Yes.
But it was boring. It was boring. Was it the weakest? I'm gonna tie that with Sony and we'll get into that.
I would say it's weak. It's just barely.
Yeah, just barely weaker. We'll get into Sony. A lot of people I hate
a lot of people really like Sony. I'm surprised by that.
I hate the fanboy wars. I'm gonna point this out. But I really hate when all the PS4 fanboys, Sony fanboys, like, PS4 won E3. It's like, no, they did it.
I'm sorry.
And we'll get into
I saw that all over my Skype profile for like next 2 days. Like, they did not win.
Yeah,
they weren't even close.
We'll get into that soon. And I'll explain why. And by the way, I like Sony a million times more than Microsoft. I think Microsoft did better in their conference. Anyways.
Okay, on Ubisoft?
Ubisoft. Okay, what I liked about Ubisoft, I'm gonna say this. I liked how they had fun throughout their conference. It was like awkwardly fun. And I kind of like
that trend every year.
Yeah, but that's what I like, because they're enjoying their job. They're not just super serious mode all the time. They were having fun. I like that.
That was nice.
It was a nice little touch. They showed actually some really nice games, I have to admit. Like, Assassin's Creed. They
already showed it at Microsoft.
Yeah, they already showed that at Microsoft, but they showed more because it's an Ubisoft game. They showed a lot, but not where it looked like too much, honestly, and it did look like fun. Microsoft focused on the multiplayer aspect more. Ubisoft did the single player, and the single player looked fun. I have to admit, it looked actually pretty good.
It did, but at the same time, it's like, I'm watching, it's like, this is Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like Assassin's Creed all over again. And I was like,
to be fair, a lot of people consider that the best, but still.
And it's another Assassin's Creed game. I mean, so it's nothing like too spectacularly new, and it's like, but I mean, it did look fun to me. So that was enough.
If you're a fan of the series, you're gonna like it.
Yeah. What else did they show? Okay, they start off with Far Cry 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Far Cry 4, yeah.
My bad. They start out with Far Cry 4, right? They first started with the first 5 minutes. That was their opener, correct? I thought that was kind of cool, but at the same time, I didn't really care for Far Cry. No,
I didn't either, even though I know a lot of people did.
Yeah.
So
no offense to the Far Cry people. Like, I played Far Cry 3 for a bit, but I thought it was pretty cool. I played at my cousin's, but I don't really care for the Far Cry series that much, and I don't think that they really needed the Far Cry 4. And by the way, they really shoved more Far Cry 4 down our throat. Sony conference, which
we'll get to that.
Yeah, and but it looked interesting, but it didn't pertain to my personal tastes. You can say, you know, like it looked interesting, but it's not something I cared for at the same time. So I can't say that was bad that they showed it. It's just I wasn't interested. When you
kind of in the same boat there.
Yeah, like I have to admit, for a start, that was actually pretty good to start up in. I didn't really care for it. It's not something I cared for personally.
If I have to summarize Ubisoft's conference, is that it was good, but looking back, I can really remember anything about it.
Yeah, same with me. All I can remember is Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. But also they had the weird dancing.
They had that weird, they had the dance thing, and they also had that Wii Fit wannabe.
Oh yeah.
Remember
actually, that looked like fun. I have to admit, that did look like fun. I don't know why, but there was just something about it that looked like fun.
It looked like they were trying. It's like you can see that.
Yeah,
and so was Wii Fit. So
I guess that's why. I thought it looked fun, because it looked like it had fun stuff to do, but it's flashy, kiddie, fun crap.
And they had that Tom Clancy game at the end. It's like, oh boy.
But I have to admit, that Rainbow Six announcement, I loved it. I did not expect them to release another Rainbow Six. That kind of came as a surprise to me. Also, they said it was like pre-alpha footage, and I thought, how is a game that looks this nice in pre-alpha?
It's pre-rendered.
It was?
Hmm. You can tell. Go back and look at it again. It's pre-rendered.
I thought it was it looked like a little bit of like a mixture to me.
How could you even mix it?
Like, I don't know, because some scenes they looked deliberately scripted, you know, and then some things looked like the actual gameplay. And then it took me a while to understand that the people communicate in the video were supposed to be imitating players. I thought those were the characters.
I thought those were the characters at first too. So I did eventually figure it out.
Yeah, especially because they were right next to an enemy, and I'm like, why the hell are they talking? The enemy's gonna hear them. And I realized, that's supposed to mimic the players, because when somebody died, they're like, somebody caught me, and then they died, and they kept talking.
Yeah, that's when I figured it out.
Yeah, that's when I figured it out too. I thought the game looked pretty fun from what they showed.
I'm not a Rainbow Six fan, so it was fine, I guess, but I'm not really...
And that actually reminded me, Ubisoft, if I'm not mistaken, Microsoft showed Tom Clancy's... It was another Splinter Cell, whatever. And it didn't really look stealthy. They actually showed gameplay of it. It didn't look stealthy. That was in the Microsoft conference. They had a really dark trailer though for it was either EA or Ubisoft. I think it was Ubisoft. They had a really dark trailer for the new Tom Clancy Splinter Cell game, where they show basically like a child dying. They didn't show a child dying, but you could hear the cries and stuff. And it was dark.
I think that was Ubisoft.
It was depressing. The game looked alright. This was for Microsoft. They showed it. It looked alright. It looked too action oriented for me though. But other than that, I don't really remember.
Yeah, on to Sony.
But before we go on to Sony, I just want to say, out of the first three, I think Ubisoft did the best. I can't remember much of what they did, but they had a lot of enthusiasm and fun with what they were doing.
I would tie in with Microsoft.
Yeah, because I think Ubisoft...
Just mostly because I can't remember really much of what either of them did.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So I guess maybe Microsoft...
I can remember a little bit more from Microsoft, which is why I'm giving it to them, but...
Yeah, but at least Ubisoft, they didn't do bad. So, yeah.
They weren't awful, but they were better than EA. Can we agree on that?
No conference really did too bad except maybe EA and Sony, but Sony did things for the wrong reason. Now it's time to go on to Sony. Oh, this is going to be...
Oh boy, okay. First thing, way too long. At least compared to the other conferences.
Way too long. Now, I would have accepted this if they didn't do one thing. In the fucking middle, after they were so much stuff, they did a whole bunch of stuff.
They did exactly what Microsoft did last year.
They focused
on that way.
They mentioned for a minute Morpheus. They did not talk about it. They said something about it for a minute. We're gonna get through the complaints first, by the way. So for a minute, They talked about Morpheus. This was the worst part. If you take this part out, their conference was miles better. I rewatched a video where they took that segment out, and it was good. They mentioned the Ratchet & Clank movie. They showed a trailer of it again. I'm like, everybody knows this is coming out. Why are you showing it? There's no point. And
well,
then
they did announce a game, and it was a new trailer, but still.
Yeah, and for some reason, midway through their TV talks, they were talking about how they want Microsoft to connect with the or not Microsoft, Sony and PlayStation 4 to connect with the TV. They like started. They put like a trailer of a game in the middle of that because they're like, wait, well we're all about the games and that's what you want to see. And they showed one trailer, I forget what it was, and then went straight back to talking about TV and stuff. It was weird. And here's a funny thing too. Remember when they were talking about the free-to-play games, and then it said some games may require a payment fee?
Yes, I caught that too, and it's like, what the heck? I know that's what most free-to-play games do. Leave that to PC gaming, please.
Here's one thing that pissed me off about Microsoft. Or Sony. My bad. Microsoft did good. This is stuff that pissed me off about Sony. They said they were trying to boast and brag about how they want Vita to be the best handheld system. That made me laugh. Because, first of all, nobody has a Vita in America, at least. Second of all, most of the Vita games, no offense to anyone, are shit. Because the rest of them are just JRPGs otherwise. Third of all, who the fuck cares about Vita TV? I have a Vita, why would I want to play it on my TV and do all the stuff? No, it was pointless! I know it's already been released in Japan, I know it boosted some sales a bit, but it seems so pointless.
I don't know how tight of 3DS in Japan, that's actually surprising, but
and
over here in the States...
But if you ask me, no, 3DS will always be the dominant, not because I'm a Nintendo fan, because yes I am, but because, face it, 3DS has just more to offer than the Vita.
At least for the time being, and it's probably until the next cycle of games comes around.
Yeah, so anyways, and they also try to say, PS3 is going to be the best for free-to-play games. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? PC is going to win that by default. And they were both
maybe mobile devices like iOS or Android, maybe. But
yeah, and I don't know, just that whole segment they did was just, it was trash, honestly. It was trash.
Oh, but they won because of Arkham Knight. Woo.
The gameplay did look fun in there. And hey, it wasn't a fucking CG trailer, thank God. Because I was getting tired of that. Which, by the way...
Too busy showing all their HD ports.
Which about...
There was a ton of them.
Okay, this is what pissed me off. Okay, first of all, GTA 5 to PS4 and Xbox.
That ticks me off because you can go on Rockstar's channel right when that commercial is being aired. It is not PS4 exclusive. They tried to make it sound like it was PS4 exclusive. It wasn't.
That's what pissed off so many people until they went to the video and finally saw PC and everybody rejoiced. That's the only thing good that I saw in that announcement.
And Xbox One, but no one cares about that.
Yeah, and I was like, they don't need a PS4 and Xbox One upgrade. That's fucking pointless. I'm fine with the PC. I was like, thank you for putting it on PC though. That was fucking.
No one cares about PS4.
But no, wait, why do you? And then, as much as I like The Last of Us, as much as I appreciate it, it didn't
too soon.
An HD remake. No, I'm sorry.
As soon as I saw that, I was thinking of Tomb Raider again. Remember what they did? They made that remastered game less than a year after it came out.
That pissed me off too. They did not need to do that. It was pointless. I'm sorry.
I don't know how the sales were for it, but I'm imagining that they probably weren't that great.
The Last of Us, I understand it's a good game. I understand a lot of people love it, but the game was hardly... I don't even know if it's been out for a year yet. I think it's been...
It hasn't.
Exactly.
I think it came out in July, didn't... Hold on, I gotta look this up now.
They didn't do it. They had... Oh, and by the way, the trailer was spoiler-filled. Thank you, Sony. I know you put a disclaimer that was spoiler-filled, but you would have not done that.
June 14th. That's when it came out. Worldwide.
So when they announced it, it wasn't even out for a year. It was going to be out.
Close.
It was going to be out for 2 days. But that was stupid. I honestly don't think it needed it. I understand it's a great game. It just didn't need it personally.
It doesn't need the treatments, and I honestly feel like the trailer doesn't really look that much better than the PS3 version.
Not really. And here's another thing. It might piss some people off, but they ended off on Uncharted 4. I want to ask you a question. Remember when Uncharted was supposed to be a trilogy?
Not really, but I'm not a PS3
It was
owner,
intended
so
to be a trilogy, from what I remember.
Well, if we're to go by the Naughty Dog standard, clearly the fourth game is supposed to be a racing game, so...
And, I don't know. Actually, I just remember another thing from EA. They talked about the crew barely. That didn't look very good. Fun.
That was Microsoft.
Really?
Yeah, that was Microsoft.
Whoever talked about the crew, that was something they did too.
Yeah. I actually thought that was pretty good, but...
It looked okay. But, honestly, I didn't care about Uncharted 4. I'm sorry for all people who love it. I know Uncharted's fun. But, I honestly thought 3 was just enough. They should have stopped by then. I thought they should have stopped at 2, personally. But
I'm not a PS3 owner. I've never been to Uncharted games, so I'm not really going to voice too much there.
yeah. But anyways, the whole TV segment in the middle where they talked like for 30 minutes about a stupid comic was dumb.
Oh yeah, they had that whole thing with it. What was it called? Towers or something?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, it looks
fine, but it doesn't belong at EA.
It doesn't not belong at E3. This is supposed to be a gaming.
I'm gonna get those mixed up for this entire video. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's like they didn't need this stuff. It looked fine. They just did not need it. It was more or less. I felt it was more of a waste of time. They didn't even talk about Morpheus, which was stupid. I mean,
I don't really care about Morpheus, so
no,
if they don't
care about
talk about it, I don't give a crap.
To be fair, I don't care about Morpheus either. They could have talked about it. At the bare minimum, you know.
Okay, we've been complaining for almost 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So should we actually talk about some good things?
Yes, okay. Well, actually, I want to have one more complaint. Almost every trailer they had was fucking CG, and that pissed me off. But again, that was like a trend this year.
Well, you hold them too much against that since almost everyone did it.
This interested me because I knew about it, but it also confused me, or not confused me, but it also disappointed me. It was both. Project Beast, if you ever heard of it, from software game. They finally announced it, which we expected. Bloodborne. Can't wait for it. I don't have a PS4, but I can't wait for it. That almost made me want to get one, but then I was like, it doesn't have a big game. PS4 doesn't have shit, so I'm not gonna get into that yet. But that piqued my interest, but it was just a CG trailer and it still didn't show much. So I'm a little disappointed on that, but I did love that they actually showed it.
Nice, but what? I mean, the whole time all we learned about is who's making it.
Yeah. And then what was that other game? It was like Live to Die or something.
I don't know.
It was like Live to Die or something, and they were showing like brutal killings and stuff, and it reminded me a lot of Manhunt.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about. But
yeah.
Especially the first half of the Sony thing, they seem to be like really zombie obsessive. Did you notice that?
Oh.
Like zombie game after zombie game after zombie game.
Here's a complaint. Dead Island 2. Why?
I don't. I don't.
It confused me because I thought the makers of Dead Island were making Dying Light. Right? And it turns out, the people who made Spec Ops is making this game. Is making Dead Island 2. Dead Island 1 was a turnout. By the way, I did love the Dead Island 2 trailer. It was disgusting, but I thought it was funny and it's pretty good. But Dead Island 2, the first one sucked. Nobody liked it. Barely anybody liked it. Everybody hated how buggy and everything was. It didn't live up to the hype. And remember what Dead Island 1 did? It had a really good trailer. How'd the game turn out? Exactly. So
pretty much it's Watch Dogs.
Yeah. This is why I don't like when people don't show the gameplay in E3. If we don't know how it plays, we don't expect if it's going to be good or not. This is why Dead Island 2 scared the shit out of me when I saw it. Because I'm like, they're showing a CG trailer and they aren't showing fucking gameplay. We don't know if it's going to be good. Oh, I think this was in Microsoft too. This was Microsoft actually. Which made me laugh. First of all, Dead Rising 3, not Xbox One exclusive anymore, it's going to PC. I thought that was cool. Do you see the fucking name of the DLC? It made me laugh.
What was it?
Let me find it. Okay, it was called. Hold on. This one's funny.
I'm sure it is.
Because now to remember, it's made by Capcom. Okay.
Oh, is it that thing? Yeah. Okay. They had the whole trailer where they were advertising nothing but the DLC.
Yeah. It was called. Oh, fuck. What was it called? It was called like Street. It was not Street Fighter. It was called Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha.
Yeah, to be fair, with a name like that, obviously they're not trying to be serious. But
I thought that was funny. I thought that was Capcom basically saying, "Oh yeah, we finally understand ourselves. We don't release sequels. We just put a whole bunch of titles because they're releasing like what Hyper Street Fighter 4 or whatever." But yeah, that was funny. But anyways, back to Sony. I don't know. They had a lot to talk about, but they had so many disappointing stuff, including lots of trailers. No Man's Sky was probably my favorite part.
That was probably the highlight.
I really loved No Man's Sky. That looked so cool. I can't wait for that game, honestly. Oh, by the way,
almost is making me want to get PS4.
Yeah.
Almost.
And funny, oh yeah, the transition from space to the planet. Oh, that was so cool, and how they did the like depth of field stuff. Like, you know, the dynamic, how they went into the planet. I thought that was cool. That was the highlight of the stream. They had nothing bad about it. No Man's Sky.
Except for one thing. Right after Dead Man's Sky, that's when they started talking about all the peripherals.
Oh yeah. But another thing that I actually do like, it was charmful and bad and painful to watch in some ways. The Little Big Planet 3 thing looked kind of fun.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of cool. Even though that one kind of went on longer than it should have.
Yeah, well, they failed, to be honest. But I think the failure was kind of cool, because at the same time, when they failed a few times, they they showed some of the characters' new abilities, because they were showing new characters. I thought that was kind of cool. And it also showed that, you know, that was like completely off script, and they weren't intending to play bad, and I thought that made it a little better. And I thought Little Big Planet 3.
No.
Yeah, I thought Little Big Planet 3 had a good stuff. Other than that, there weren't many strong points, because they had the stupid. They talked for like 30 minutes to an hour about the peripherals and stuff, which isn't bad if they could have done it better and they didn't spend an hour on stuff basically nobody cared about. What else was there?
Not that no one cares, it's just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and they could have saved.
That's why Nintendo made their whole new thing, the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, honestly, what's it called? They could have saved this for like Gamescom or something, you know, which is just as big. Well, it's not just as big, but it's big still. And then I don't know, they just didn't show a lot. They also had, what was it? It was like it was like something 1880 whatever. It was that weird cinematic game.
I probably tuned out.
That everybody's like they're freaking out over because it was running. People said it was running because it was supposed to run at 30 FPS. Still know why people make that complaint. I couldn't care.
Who cares? I can't even see the difference between 30 and 60 FPS.
Some people can't. Some people can. I can, but I don't care.
I can't see it. I don't even bother rendering my videos above 30 FPS. I can't see the difference.
Yeah, and anyways, yeah, it's just I don't know. The game looked okay. Sony's was just full of. There were some okay things, and there were some good things, and then there was like half of it was.
And there was a lot of bad things.
There was a lot of bad things. I don't understand why people say they won. They
didn't.
They had a long conference.
They were almost tied for last. Almost.
They had so much potential too. There's a few games I can't remember off the top of my head that they could have announced, but they didn't, and it was frustrating to me. It was just frustrating.
I think there were a few.
And
I know a lot of people are holding their breath for a new Crash Bandicoot game, but let's be honest, that was never going to come.
It was never going to come. I don't know why the hell people were doing that. Anyways,
okay, we've been going on Sony more than long enough.
Okay, so now it's time for the last one. Now, I'm going to be somewhat biased, so I'm going to let you talk about Nintendo first. If you talk about Nintendo.
Nintendo won purely for their intro. But seriously.
Robot Chicken with the fight.
Yes.
Genius. I thought that was.
I actually tweeted that. I think it's still up, but they won just for their intro.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, okay, you can keep your opinion, but keep going on your opinion because I'm gonna be somewhat biased.
Oh,
just saying.
Most of it I thought was okay, and I know this was coming. Too much time on Brawl, or not Brawl, but the new Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Way too long.
You know what?
Same thing as the Yoshi game. That went on way too long.
Yeah, the Yoshi did. But I have to mention two things about that. Firstly, I think Smash is the most hyped game of all of E3. I'm not joking. I think it is. I truly think it is.
But they put, what, was it like 4 times they went back to that game just during their conference?
Yeah. But
guys, stop!
And the Skylanders thing they had going, was okay. That was probably their weakest point about their conference. It was like 40. Granted, their conference was one of the shortest ones. I think it was 50 minutes.
It was the shortest.
Yeah, and the Skylanders things, their amiibos. Cool idea. At least they're not forcing it on you like a Skylander thing, where you need it to get different characters. I mean, but they had to show it, so I can't blame them too much. But that was probably their worst part. That was
I don't remember that much else. There was that one game, Splatoon, I think.
Splatoon. Oh my god. Okay, first I'm gonna mention something about the conference. When I saw it at the conference, I thought it looked so fun. I thought it looked really fun. I was upset that they ended on that note. It wasn't a bad way to end it. I was just I wish there was more, you know. And then one thing I liked about Nintendo, game after game after game. I don't even know if there was a CG. Do they have any CG?
I don't think so.
That was one thing that I liked about Nintendo too. They show, with the exception of Zelda, but we'll get more into that. Everything they showed gameplay of, which was nice, because
Zelda was just a tease. Because everyone was expecting it. So,
but you have to admit, when he snapped and you saw the Zelda, it looked pretty freaking gorgeous.
Until we all figured out that it's not actually Link, but yeah.
Did they confirm if it wasn't actually Link?
They did.
They did?
They confirmed it.
I wouldn't, to be honest, if it's Zelda, I would dig playing as Zelda.
It's a male. I'm on their page right now.
Oh, okay. Well, it did look fun though. I mean, it did look cool. The game looked fun. It looks so beautiful, honestly. I know it's not hyper realistic. It looks so beautiful for what it was.
Who cares about that? Wind Waker wasn't either, and a lot of people consider that the best in the series.
I still think Majora's Mask is. But anyways, it did look. Do you agree with me? Do you think it really looked beautiful, or am I on that boat where I just think it looks beautiful?
I don't know. It's too early to tell.
I mean, just graphically, I thought it looked impressive. I thought it looked really nice.
Aesthetically, it was pretty good. Graphically, not so much. But.
I'm going to mention something that personally disappointed me. This is biased on my personal disappointment. No Metroid. I was so hoping they would do something. I was hoping, in the back of my mind, the back of my heart, I'm like, Metroid, please give me Metroid something.
It wasn't gonna happen.
And you know what that also reminds me of? I think, before I go on, by the way, I believe Nintendo won. They won. Not just for their intro. They had a lot of fun with. I like the Robot Chicken skits, by the way. I thought that was kind of funny.
But they spread them all throughout. It wasn't just the beginning.
Yeah.
But.
I thought they had the best. And you want to know why I personally thought they had the best?
Go ahead.
Besides being, this is from sort of a mindset of I am a Nintendo fanboy, and it's also in the mindset of how I feel about E3 as a whole. Okay. So they showed game after game after game, which was cool, and they focused on the Wii U, the system people keep thinking it's gonna die. They gave us a release.
The one time they strayed was for Pokemon, which, okay, we all knew was coming, so whatever, get it out of the way.
And this is why I want to mention. If you've ever read the story or heard of it, the Mario Kart 8 boosted Wii U sales, funny enough, by this number, 666%.
Only in the United Kingdom. I keep having to tell people that. Yeah, that is not how it is worldwide. It's much lower.
But you have to admit that is still a very good push. And that is very good. And with how many people are interested in Best Buy, or not Best Buy, in the Smash Bros. If you've seen images online of the Best Buy Smash Bros., there are lines, very long lines of people wanting to play at Best Buy. Very long lines. People said 200 plus were waiting in line to play Smash Bros. At Best Buy. Literally.
Well, clearly it wasn't at my Best Buy, because I was there yesterday and there was no one.
Do you live in a smaller town?
I live in Phoenix.
You do? Almost. I'm surprised. Some lines, though, apparently had 200 plus people wanting to play it. And I honestly think that's going to be their Wii U system seller. Like, they don't even need anything anymore. I think that's just going to be their system seller when it comes out.
Like that and that new Zelda game that everyone keeps
and the new Zelda game. One thing actually that did disappoint me about Nintendo was a lot of games they mentioned were coming out in 2015.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like, they all just started. They wouldn't even give us dates like 2015. They didn't even say first half 2015. They just said 2015.
There'll be Nintendo Directs for fans to watch. But the Yoshi thing, I do agree. It did drag a little longer. But you know, I think I have a reason. I think I know why. If you don't remember, that's actually Yarn Yoshi,
Mm-hmm.
which people thought died, and then they actually brought it back, and they had to bring it back and better. It's Woolly World now, by the way. For people who don't know, so I'm happy that they brought it back. They did just spend a little too much time on it. I mean, they spent a lot of time on Smash Bros, but I honestly expected it, and I loved it, so I can't complain too much.
Then Amiibo lasted a bit longer than I would like to, but
Palutina, God, I don't know how to pronounce her name, was announced for Smash Bros. Almost everybody saw it coming, so that did not surprise me a bit. Pac-Man was also announced, wasn't surprised,
everyone thought they were coming, so whatever. At least now they're official.
And then Game & Watch, which I thought nobody really thought exactly, but
What the? Game & Watch was confirmed.
Yeah, he was confirmed, but I was like, I more thought, that was a given. Because he was an older cast.
So is Snake. Where's he?
Yeah.
So is Falcon. Where's he?
Here's the thing that I want to say on why I think Nintendo won E3. They had a short digital event, sure, but it was game after game showing new games that are supposed to come, like the new Kirby game that was like like the DS one, just a new one. Zelda, even though it was more of a teaser.
No, that barely even shows anything.
Yeah,
it's open world.
But in the ending, they showed Palutena, and I thought that was cool. Here's one thing that I
He's Mario Party 10 later, but that was an official event.
And which is another reason why I think they won. But here's one thing that I saw at the end of their digital event: they had Miyamoto playing a game, blurred out. People knew what it was, and then he announced
it's Star Fox
later. Star Fox U is one of the main reasons that they won, because for years fans have been asked. This is like basically, think of Rare and Banjo-Kazooie asking for Banjo 3. This is like somebody asking for Banjo 3 over and over and over again, and they never get it. And it's like people have been asking it.
It's like Half-Life 3 for Nintendo.
Yeah, everybody was like, please, Star Fox, Star Fox, Star Fox. New Star Fox is supposed to mimic Star Fox 60.
Miyamoto could just be playing people. We don't know for sure, but
no, he was apparently after the digital event, he was actually showing people.
Oh,
so yeah, Star Fox. I thought that was one reason why they won E3. Another reason why is because even right this moment, as we are recording, if I'm not mistaken, they are still going on coverage about games, which is what I think E3 should be about. When you're streaming, I think it should constantly be about games, right? Don't you agree?
Sure.
I mean, of course you want to have a little for the stuff there, what's it called, like for the peripherals and whatnot. But mostly I think about games. And they've been going for the past, since Tuesday, because that's when their event was. Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, Thursday, non-stop streaming them going over in-depth about their games and all that stuff. And they've just been going on and on and on. Not only that, but after their digital event, they still were announcing new things, including a new Miyamoto IP that they finally announced yesterday, which is codename Steam. I
didn't know about that one.
Which looked pretty fun. They did Mario Party 10. They didn't announce it during the event, but they teased it at afterwards on their Treehouse.
Yeah, I know that.
Treehouse was awkward, but it was funny.
It was. Especially when they were trying to transition, and then you were sitting there waiting for like 30 seconds for them to switch to a clip.
That was only the beginning. They fixed it afterwards. But yeah, like they kept showing and showing and showing. I know it wasn't the official E3 stuff. It was like, I was thinking to myself, they are actually showing games, and it's not just
Go figure.
It is not just trailers. And to be honest, they were all games of interest to me. Like, they finally start talking about again. It's not called X anymore. It's now called Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah, and
I'm not even a fan of that series, and I kind of want to get it.
Yeah, and for 30 minutes they showed. If you saw the 30-minute gameplay, it dragged a little, but the beginning is slow of every RPG, so you have to expect that. Right. But I thought, God, this game looks breathtaking, and I really want it. It looks like fun. And the Smash Bros. Tournament, as cheesy and as silly as it was, you have to admit that if you watch any of it was fun. It was
I
a
didn't
lot.
watch it, so I'll take your word for it.
It was a lot of fun. And
Is there any games we're forgetting? Oh yeah, they did have Bayonetta.
Yeah, Bayonetta.
I know I pronounced that wrong, but
Bayonetta 2 looks very fun. Solid gameplay, looks really, really fun. But it's platinum game, what do you expect? Oh, they also did a Crackdown 3 thing at Microsoft. We forgot to mention that. That took a lot of people by surprise, including me. I didn't expect that.
Sorry, what one?
Crackdown.
Oh.
But anyways, what did they... Oh yeah, at the end of the Smash tournament, this is another reason why they won. Reggie's... They asked... One of the people in the finals asked Reggie for one wish. And he asked him if he would play Smash Bros. And he said, oh no, he can't, as if because they're on time slot and stuff like that. But he was like, well, that's the good thing, because there's going to be a 3DS version coming, and since I'm always on the go, I'll be able to practice on my 3DS version. And then Reggie said, and then next year, I will kick your ass.
Yes!
That was so amazing. But yeah, Nintendo just kept going and going. I can't think of any real big downside besides maybe the drag-on with Amiibo.
That went on a bit longer.
And maybe the oversaturation of Smash Bros. Might not tickle something that's fancy. And the Treehouse made it was a little awkward.
It was a little awkward, and even though I think it was a really good game, Splatoon probably went on a bit longer than it should have too.
It only went on too longer in Treehouse, where they were glorifying it, which was pissing me off.
No, I mean in the actual event.
Oh well, yeah.
It went on for about 5 minutes,
but
considering how short their event was.
It did look fun though, and then what other games were there? There were some games from they're gonna put on WiiWare or whatever. There was Mario Maker, which
that one.
I know it's on. There's stuff like that on the computer, but it's sort of like a dream to
now they're doing it official, so
yeah. So it's sort of like a dream come true to Nintendo fans, especially from the '80s who played the original Mario Bros.
So they pretty much killed off their entire 2D Mario franchise. But good luck selling another one now.
I was happy that they did the no Mario this year. I was like, holy shit.
I was so happy when I saw that.
I was like, holy shit, what does the world come to?
No Mario. Well, there's Smash Bros, but other than that.
One Mario Party, but they meant no...
Yeah, but Mario Party wasn't in the actual event.
They meant no,
no
mainstream.
Super Mario 3D World 2 or whatever.
New Super Extra Mario 3D World.
Galaxy 3.
Galaxy. Actually, I wouldn't mind a Galaxy.
I wouldn't mind Galaxy 3.
But yeah, they were just strong throughout everything. What did they? And their starting was amazing. It was with Smash Bros. And they had the Robot Chicken thing. But I do have to admit, the Mother 3 thing was kind of weird. It was sort of.
They did that a couple times. It's just.
Well, they did the same thing about Star Fox U, but Star Fox U came. So that could be a hint for all we know. But the thing, I think a thing I've heard about with Nintendo and Earthbound, which makes sense, it took them a long time to release Earthbound on the Virtual Console because it had so many Western pop cultural references. They had to be censored or changed in some way, or had to get the rights to, which made things much harder. So I heard that was one of the reasons why they can't bring Mother 3, at least not yet, to the States. But I think they do actually want to. But I don't know. They just. I'm somewhat biased when it comes to this.
Okay, so Nintendo's going a bit long, so good patience there,
but yeah, I know, but that's where I was kind of ending off. So I was about to say I'm sort of biased. I don't know what you think. In a way, I'm a little biased, but
I still think they probably have the best conference. I wouldn't say by a terrible lot, but
yeah, I think they had the best conference, and I think they had the best.
I'm a bit biased too. So.
I think they had the best E3 to be in general because they just kept going on and on with games with unannounced stuff and all that, and they just kept going.
So we already know what your best is, but if you had to label them from worst to best, like all the conferences,
mine would be probably EA, Sony, Ubisoft, Microsoft, then Nintendo.
I think mine would actually be the same.
Well then, see, we generally.
So yeah, we do agree sometimes.
Actually, one thing that they did not mention in Nintendo too, which threw me off. I felt like Nintendo. I don't know if it was you too who felt this way. I felt like Nintendo had a lot they could have done this year that they didn't do. A lot more, like title-wise. for
I'll
example,
give you that.
for example, Retro Studios, the people who made Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and Metroid Prime, which I'm fucking hoping they're making a Metroid Prime 4.
Don't count on it.
I'm hoping it just let me.
You can hope. I'll
Let
let
me
you
dream.
hope.
Let me dream. But anyways, one thing that they did not do this year was that when they finished a few months after Tropical Freeze was finished, or whatever, a few months before they released it, they were working on a new game for the Wii U. So around in November, around the time they originally were supposed to release Tropical Freeze before they delayed it, they've been working on a new game since Wii U. I thought they were going to announce that this year. They didn't announce that this year. They did not hint it. They didn't.
At least not at E3. Maybe it'll be a Nintendo Direct, but
They didn't. They didn't mention anything with it. And that it's puzzling me. It's like it's bugging me a lot too. It's been bugging me since I've heard about it. It's like, what are they working on that they won't tell us?
clearly they are working on Metroid Prime 4.
If they're
Go on.
working on a Red Metroid Prime 4,
Then you'll forgive them.
I will forgive them. I will buy a Wii U in a heartbeat.
I will buy 2. I'm not even a Metroid Prime fan.
Would you really if they announced
No.
Metroid Prime?
I probably won't even get one. Not until I see it come out. If it comes out and it's like really good, then maybe.
But to be honest, and to finish, and also to close off on some notes, if there were any, to be honest, I think every conference did something really good. Where no matter if you're a PC, well not PC because this is a PC, if you're a PS3 owner, an Xbox owner, or a Wii U owner, I think everybody.
You have something to be excited about.
Everybody won in that department, yeah. Because and another thing is, I also think Microsoft, since they did announce a lot of games, I do think they sort of I have a feeling that more people are going to buy it, especially with the price drop. More people are going to buy an Xbox One, so I think the price that's going to go a little higher. PS4, they announced a lot of good things too. I believe those will just keep going higher. And then Wii U, it just still.
Wii U's hard to judge for, but I like to think it's going higher.
Yeah, like the Wii, they just do game after game after game. I'm just hoping that people will actually start buying a Wii U. And I think people will too, because in some videos where people were talking about, who the obligatory, who won E3. A lot of people, there's Sony fanboys and Microsoft fanboys were always like, hey, it's Microsoft, hey, it's Sony. But then there are people who are like, I'm a Sony fan, I'm a Microsoft fan, and they're like, Nintendo just blew away to the extent where I want to get a Wii U now. So it's
That's
like
pretty much me.
Yeah,
I would love to say that Sony won, but they just screwed up.
They messed up, and which is sad because last year they won no matter what. The only thing they had to not do was not screw up.
But something else that I know this happened to a lot of people. It wasn't just Switch where I was watching it, but for the first half, it was just lagging out for everyone.
It was.
But you couldn't even watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I'm not really gonna hold Sony accountable for that, but
yeah, but this year, next year though, really good. Looks like really good lineups for games. Well, I don't know about anything that is Nintendo because they show way too much sleeves. I have to wait to see the games in action.
We'll find out then.
Yeah, but I still think everyone generally like the game. When you'll say who won conference-wise, Nintendo as a whole, I think the players won because now we all have a lot of games to play.
No way.
So compared to last year, which was just hardware stuff, but at least last year wasn't really that bad. It was actually fun watching. So
okay, this has been nice to go to, but seriously, we're kind of getting close to an hour mark now. So
right, cool. I wanted to mention one more thing. They reminded me about what's it called? Sony taking jabs at Microsoft last year. They for some reason took jabs at Microsoft and Microsoft and EA this year for some reason. It was weird. You remember that? They took jabs at Microsoft because they were talking about the camera thing for the PS3 that barely anyone has.
Oh yeah, that thing.
And they mentioned how that at least you don't have to buy this with the PS4.
It's true, but still.
It was a
Thankfully, you
jab.
don't buy it with Xbox One anymore either.
Yeah,
So-
it was a jab at them. And then at EA, they said something like, "We don't do this like EA" or something. I was like, it was some awkward jab at them. They didn't even need. And that was during, I think, the peripheral stuff.
That would explain why I don't remember it. I pretty much just tuned out then. So,
Yeah.
as someone that does not own a PS3 or a PS4, I could not care less what PlayStation Now is doing.
They showed Far Cry 4 gameplay, but it looked like Far Cry 3 still. Just
It was again.
But yeah, that's our opinions on E3. Nintendo won, the players won.
I wouldn't say there wasn't any that was necessarily bad. Well, there were definitely ones that were better than others, but
yeah, it was just boring. Simply, it wasn't bad.
it's not necessarily bad though. It's just boring.
Yeah, boring doesn't mean bad, guys. We just thought it was boring. But that's
I would argue that Sony was kind of boring too. So
yeah, especially the freaking peripheral part. Ah,
that went on way too long.
the drag.
But okay,
forever.
sorry, we're beating a dead horse, and we're repeating ourselves over and over. But
So, do you have any last words? I guess any last thoughts?
I think we've made everything clear.
Yeah. So, moral of the story: buy a Wii U.
It goes by Yogaidr. Buy a Wii U.
No, but moral of the story: I think no matter if you don't have a console and you plan to buy one, any console is gonna be you're probably gonna be happy with. That's how I feel.
I'd go with that.
So Boogaloos.
Woot.
Loot.
Thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.